we wait for that or so. What is this Lego scandal thing? Apparently it's like super serious, so I'm super curious what this is about. Like there's 2 videos of this. So it must be super huge if it's like if Penguin Zero made 2 videos on it. I tracked down a thief who stole 200,000? Wait, $200,000 or something like that? God, thank you for the Prime Gaming. Welcome, welcome. What is this even about? Give me the TLDR. Let me know on this.
I don't even know how to intro this video because there's nothing I can say that will actually do the scope of this corruption and diabolical scandal justice. But I will give you the premise.
Is worse than Pokemon?
It's around Legos. And I know you probably immediately roll your eyes going, oh, well, that's probably nothing super crazy. Buster, you don't know the half of it. A YouTuber named Reckless Bin conducted a thorough investigation on a huge Lego-related crime. It is a crazy web of malicious bad actors, shady individuals. It's like the Lego cartel. I don't know how to do this intro to really lay the foundation in a way that captures the scope because it is that big. So I highly recommend you watch his entire video. I'm going to go over a lot of it here because I have been captivated by this, and this is only part 1. It actually, there's more to it, but I think it's only fitting that we start from the very beginning.
Okay.
And spent his life collecting what's now known as the world's largest Lego Star Wars collection ever. It's estimated to be worth around $200,000. And then the entire thing got stolen, and the police are actively working with the thieves to cover the entire thing up. But the craziest part is that the collector doesn't even know that his collection's been stolen. Yeah, the collector's son, Brian, well, he reached out to me because he has no clue how to break this news to his dad.
So that's the surface level analysis here.
What?
It becomes like a full-blown fucking noir film, though. It gets so deep. But fundamentally, a individual who has spent years and tons of money accumulating an extremely valuable Lego collection worth up to $200,000 of value, has had it stolen from him, unbeknown to him, and unfortunately law enforcement has repeatedly shown that they have no interest in investigating this case or helping in any way, and have instead been far more on the side of the dubious perpetrators. And this individual's son has reached out to this YouTuber Reckless Bin because he's just caught in between a rock and a hard cock at this point. Like, there's very few options left since going through the proper channels of, like, the police, who you would expect to, you know, maybe do something about this because it is a crime. It is a big deal. That's a lot of money, by the way. But that was fruitless. They were far more interested in just shooing them away and even threatening to have them arrested multiple times. So Brian, the son, teamed up with Ben and his team to do everything they could to try and either get his Legos back, his father's Legos back, or get them the payment that they were due for the Legos, which, a lot of money.
But anyways, the thief of this collection is actually a corporation called Bricks and Minifigs.
Bricks and Minifigs, the biggest toy store of its kind.
Is the largest toy store.
Bricks and Minifigs were not just your average Lego store.
For collectors, Bricks and Minifigs is basically seen as the best and safest way to sell your Lego collections.
I'm selling my Lego.
Now, even me, a drooling Cro-Magnon man who is not deep into the Lego community, I've heard of Bricks and Minifigs.
I have not.
They are a big corporation, and I do know that they are considered, or at least were considered prior to this, the gold standard when it comes to selling your Legos. So the fact that they are the corporation that's implicated in this actually was pretty surprising to me, because they're like the only company in this space that I'd heard of. And it turns out, well, might not be all sunshine and titties over there. It may be a lot of malicious bad actors, potentially.
Brian thought that this would be the perfect store to finally sell his dad's Lego Star Wars collection.
So I wrote up a contract.
In the contract, it says that these are still the family's Lego sets, but every time one gets sold, the store gets to keep a small percentage of each sale.
This was a store's worth of inventory. So that store that day was nothing but my dad's collection. Like, all the shelves filled. They had to bring in extra shelves and filled the whole party room with shelves.
But the owner of the
What? Are you serious? Oh my god, dude. No way.
Franchise. This woman, well, her husband had to actually leave the country due to some work-related reasons.
My husband and I were planning on moving out of the country.
They did everything correct when it came to selling his father's collection to Bricks and Minifigs, so they got his Library of Alexandria of Lego collection. They got the fucking One Piece, and basically it was the entire store's inventory. They had to call in the cavalry in order to take it all. And the owner of the franchise, which is that woman right there that is being interviewed by Ben, made a mention that her and her husband were actually planning on moving out of the country. And
I wish I could
when
do that,
she
to be
informed
honest.
corporate about this, they said that, you know what, there is a seller who is potentially interested in owning in that area. And then it went straight down the shitter. It spiraled into some degeneracy where they informed her that they were terminating her franchise agreement. They were threatening to call the cops on her. You're
the
excommunicado here, like it's fucking John Wick. And she made a point to say, you know, this isn't right. This is not comfortable. I'm not leaving without doing inventory. But they wanted her out of there. You know, hit the road, Buster. And it's actually backed up by irrefutable evidence.
She was actually able to save all the security camera footage from that night, proving that everything she just said is true.
All the footage and evidence is there in the security cam footage. It's him at the store kicking her out. In that footage they sent us is Crystal asking him, how am I supposed to pay this guy? These are sets he has not been paid for. Home Corporation is sitting there on video saying they're going to take it.
After this woman got kicked out of her own store, she called Brian explaining how corporate just came down and is now trying to take the world's largest Lego Star Wars collection without paying for it.
I feel like I have to be extremely careful and pussyfoot around what I'm allowed to show, but in Reckless Ben's video, he does show the security camera footage, and it does have someone go in confirming that they are taking on that business, and most notably, a very important thing that is captured on film is him saying that they also take on the consignment. That means that they are legally taking on the responsibility of Brian's Legos. At least, as I understand it, that's how it seems to be. That is something very important to remember going forward. I mean, how do you possibly wiggle your way out of that one? That's pretty indefensible. It's right there on camera, 4K in the cringe compilation. It feels like checkmate to me, but this is Bricks and Minifigs we're talking about. These are super villains here. We got some like actual diabolical demons in that food chain. So Brian, the son, reached out asking, well, what happened to the previous owner? And that's when he was informed that, oh, she's gone. She went straight to Valhalla. Corporate's taken this over now. And he was like, okay, well, what about my collection? All that vintage Star Wars that you have in your store right now on your shelves, that's ours, and we haven't been paid for it. We have a contract. We have all of this evidence of this deal, and still haven't been paid. And things soured. They weren't willing to play ball with that, and then eventually it led to Brian and the store here, the new guy, clashing, where he was like, okay, so like what's next steps here? Maybe we go to court. And the guy, according to Brian, crossed his arms, and really he had an exorcism moment there. He let the mask slip. He let the evil out and was basically just threatening him, saying like, look, if we go in this route, we are going to basically bleed you dry. We are going to drain the piss from your balls legally, and it will end up costing you more than you would have ever gotten for this collection in the first place. So if that's what you want to do, buckle your seatbelt. That kind of thing. And Brian's like, okay, well, what was I supposed to do? Because Brian's father, the owner of this collection, has had health problems, and it's not exactly something they can afford to do, getting into this extremely lengthy, extremely expensive legal battle. So
That is pretty shitty or so, dude. I assume they were trying to use that money too as well. Well, not just getting out of the country, but I assume maybe helping, maybe to some degree, for their father's health.
now that brings us to Reckless Ben's involvement here, because there aren't a ton of options for Brian's family. And since that interaction, they have been flooding their social media page with those vintage Star Wars Legos that they still haven't paid for, which feels like they are just gloating and goatseeing, just openly mocking Brian and his father's collection, just insulting the family.
And why are the cops not helping?
But luckily for Brian, a YouTuber ended up catching wind of this story and created a team of YouTubers to do whatever they could to get Brian his Legos back.
This is the full inventory of all the sets and minifigs.
We can figure out how to get this guy his money and his stuff back.
But right after they started, they instantly stopped working on this case. So I called one of them to find out why.
So they were threatening legal action against us. You know, Bricks and Minifigs, which is a pretty big company who probably has way more resources than we can
no shot,
really put up a fight
dude.
against.
Bricks and Minifigs knows that they can just bully anyone that tries to expose them with frivolous lawsuits.
So this story here wasn't something that totally flew under the radar. There were people that knew about it. So there was a group of YouTubers that wanted to try their best to get him his money for his collection. But when they picked up the case, they were allegedly threatened with legal action from Bricks and Minifigs, which is something we've seen countless times in the past with these corporations, that when some of the dirtiness starts to hit the mainstream, they then lash out litigiously to silence them. Like Reckless Bin says, to bully them into this submission, because they know they have more money and they are going to use that against these YouTubers that don't have the means of fighting against a company of their size. Now, what happens next in the video is something I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share. In Reckless Bin's video, I've noticed he's edited it to have like blurs around the video, but it's not actually blurring anything, but I think he was trying to with the YouTube editing tool. So I'm just going to describe what happens, and if you want to see it, go to Reckless Bin's video for it. But he actually goes directly to the Bricks and Minifig, 16-hour drive with his friends. He went there and he was wearing the glasses that you can record with, which you've seen a bunch of fucking TikTok pranksters using for nefarious means. But he goes there and he just asks the employee, hey, I'm here inquiring about Brian's collection. He uses the name Brian. And immediately, they've only had like 2 sentences shared between them where he says hello and she says hello, you know, how are you, that kind of thing. And then he says, hey, I'm here to ask about this Lego collection from Brian. And then she instantly says, you need to leave. And then she starts putting up a big stink about how she's being harassed, even though he hasn't said anything else. He's just mentioned Brian's Legos and asked, you know, like, what's the deal with all of that? She instantly starts playing this card of like, he's harassing me, holy fuck!
Are you serious?
And then she gets on the phone, talking about like, check the cameras. This fucking creep psychopath has come in harassing me, all because he's asked about Brian's Legos. She then tried to give him the runaround, saying like, this is corporate, not me. Scram, dweeb, take it up with corporate.
Shadow. No.
But he already went to corporate and he showed more footage of that interaction where they at corporate were saying, well, you got to take it up with her. So they're just giving him the runaround, just sending him on a wild goose chase here, this game of hot potato that nobody wants to actually like take responsibility for. Eventually he does get the owner of that shop on the horn and says, hey, I'm looking to get these Legos back for my friend. And he keeps saying, why do you think you're entitled to our inventory? And then he says like, hey, look, I have the contract. These are still his Legos. And by the contract that they have Brian with this store, seems like they are indeed still his Legos. So he's saying, hey, they're his. And he goes, are you stupid? Are you stupid? Are you an idiot? That's what the owner keeps saying to this guy. And then the police arrive.
We just have them in the store and we just like to pick them up, I guess, because they were going to sell it for us, but I guess they're not selling it for us anymore.
But does it sound like they want you here, right? So they
well, but they have our sets though, yeah.
I understand that. Right here, the factor is that they don't want you, they're a private owned store, and they don't want you on the front. Okay.
But I don't want them to keep the Lego sets though.
Okay.
So
yeah,
the police officer literally didn't care.
You actually can't be serious that the police were actually in on this too. There's no way. They must have had some money or so on this. They must have got slipped under the dude. That's some corrupted ass shit. I ain't gonna lie, to be honest.
At all that the store just stole $200,000 worth of Legos. For some reason, he made it seem like I was the bad guy.
So you are trespass from here. So
okay.
Trespass for life. So if you come back.
Oh, for life?
Yeah. If you come back, you could be arrested.
This part I feel like I can show. This is now outside of the business interacting with law enforcement, so I'm pretty sure this one's okay. You can see this interaction. So the officer shows up because the lady had called the police about all of this, and he is now being trespassed for life. He is
wild,
blacklisted from
dude.
entering this Bricks and Minifigs forever, till the heat death of the universe. And Reckless Ben is trying to explain, hey, I'm here because we had a deal. They're not selling the Legos, so I'm here to try and get them back. And he's not listening to it at all. He's not even entertaining the idea of, like, maybe he had a reason to be here. Maybe there is something going on.
Brian did warn me that the police are actively trying to cover this up. So Brian and I are now officially trespassed from the store. And if we ever come back to ask for his own Lego collection back, then we are going to be arrested.
Is there, I guess, a reason why they're able to just take all the Legos and not give it back, or?
So, we just gotta leave.
I just have to leave?
So, leave now.
Now, I've watched a lot
That's
of body cams. I'm
wild to
something
see
of
that.
a connoisseur of body cams, and this behavior from the officer is a little peculiar because in instances of, like, someone being trespassed,
Yeah.
I've usually seen, like, a conversation about, like, what was your purpose here? Like,
Yep.
why were you here in the first place?
Well,
And he-
granted, right? This is in Canada, right? I assume this is from Canada, so, well.
He's trying to explain, like, hey, look, they took this from me, like, my friend. And then he's even asking the officer, well, what can I do to get it back then? And instead of answering that question, he's just like, nope, you've just got to leave. Which is odd, because typically, if there is, like, an actual reason for them being there, the officer, in the past, from what I've seen, has guided them to, like, hey, we'll take it up with this department, or we can look into this later, file a report, that kind of thing. The officer's not doing anything like that. He is instantly just shutting that shit down, putting the kibosh on it, just reiterating that you've got to leave. And, like, I understand he was called there solely to trespass him, but even still, he could say, like, we can handle this, you know, through the official channels, through this way, if there is actually a grievance here, but for now, you just have to leave the property. That's how I've seen it handled in the past. Now, since he was trespassed from that location, he went back to corporate and actually talked with the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs. His name is Ammon McNeff. And he just instantly goes liar, liar, pants on fire mode. Again,
What?
This is filmed with his glasses here, so I don't know if I'm allowed to show it, but if you want to see it, I guess while it's still up on Reckless Ben's channel, you can go see how this
It's
went.
probably a long
But he is
video.
now denying that they even have Brian's Legos. He's like, who is Brian? Who? I've never heard of that guy. So then Ben pulls up their social media showing all the posts that they have made about Brian's collection, his vintage Star Wars Legos, showing them that they are literally flaunting it, and even showing, like, where they talk about the value of his collection, showing it to his face that they do have his Legos. So even though he keeps, like, outright denying it, their own social media betrays his words. It then goes the same way it always seems to with these Bricks and Minifigs zombies. This guy actually has a cartoonishly evil mustache. He's got a twirled mustache. And he ends up just saying, you know what? You're wrong. Get the fuck out of here. Don't know what you're talking about. If you come back, you'll be arrested. So he gets the police
Are
on
you
there.
serious?
And he's basically been trespassed there, so he can't step foot. He then, through a series of plans, gets a employee of the store on his side, gets the owner's number, and then calls the owner directly, and finally presents the contract to the owner, who is once again doing the same thing the CEO was, saying, I don't know what Legos you're talking about. We don't have these Legos. What are you blabbering about, weirdo? So he sends him the contract. And he's like, oh, well, I never signed that contract. There's no signed contract with me. And he's right, because it is the previous owner's name on there. But the thing is, when they took it over, they said that they are taking on those
I do not
previous
take requests
business
from new viewers.
agreements. They are taking on the consignments like this Lego collection that they had from Brian, which they are still actively hawking. They still have it, and they haven't paid for it. So that excuse can't work. I don't feel like there's some legal loophole there when they have taken over this business and agreed to take on these consignments, according to what we have evidence of. So I feel like there's no way that they could weasel themselves out of it, like, actually by law. It feels highly illegal what they're doing. And once again, these
God, and I thought fucking Pokemon was pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, King!
brainwashed ghouls at Bricks and Minifigs devolve into the same thing. You're harassing me! I'm calling the cops. So, once he is basically, you know, putting the fucking full Nelson here, the contract is there, he tries to claim that's not how the law works. We don't take on the business that we take over. So, like, this previous owner's contract no longer includes us, even though we're still selling that inventory, and even though the contract is still applicable to the business we took over, even though it's just not my name on there, so it doesn't count, which means we don't actually have to pay for this collection that we have an agreement with, and that we are still actively selling.
This is
You
some
guys are wrong, you're
crazy-ass
harassing me, and I'm
fucking
calling the
story
cops.
so far.
That's how that ends with
From
the
a
owner
fucking
there.
multi-million
And then
business.
Brian talks about how when he tried to sue them, oh, I forgot to mention, the owner, of course, tried to play hardball saying, well, sue me then. If that's how the law works, sue me. Because he knows that as this big corporation, they have enough resources to drag it out and make it very painful for just the average Joe Schmo. And then Brian starts to talk about how when he did try and sue them, go through the legal channels, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing or easy.
Brian already tried to sue him, and it didn't work.
We've been to a couple attorneys, and they basically spelled it out, saying here's the path that's going to happen if you go down each of these routes. They're now in Spain, so we're getting into that whole international thing just to have them an injunction on the store to have them go back and prove what they sold and not. And that's like $60,000 to $70,000.
Yeah, Bricks and Minifigs knows that Brian and his dad don't have nearly enough resources to sue a company as big as Bricks and Minifigs.
He's like, we're gonna keep these. You're gonna walk away from this. You're not coming back. And if you choose to sue us, we will drag this out in court till it is well past what this collection is worth.
Which is something he touched on earlier with the initial threats that were made against him when he tried to inquire about either the payment for his father's Lego collection, which they have, or getting the Legos back, which they're...
okay, hold up. My question is, right, let's see, how much is bricks and was it bricks and what? I forgot what it's called already. Was it Bricks and Legos? I forgot what it's called, to be honest. What was the name of the goddamn stupid store? I already forgot the name of the stupid goddamn store already. For the Lego scandal. Let me see. Lego scandal. Bricks and Minifigs? Okay. Bricks and Minifigs. I just want to know how much the business is worth, that's why. Minifigs. What are they worth anyways? Business worth. So overall the valuation of the existing bricks and Minifigs franchise typically ranges from 150 to 400,000, heavily depending on the annual revenue, inventory value, and lease terms. Damn, are you serious? So it's not even like, is it even that, so it's not really that big of a franchise, right? Of a business franchise? At least from what I'm noticing anyways. Or should it be net worth? Should it be net worth? Market cap, we can type that in. Just to, like, there's no way they're like crashing out over a $200,000 like Lego collection. Like, there's no way, right? The brand recently surpassed 300,000 locations. System-wide revenue exceeds over 95 million. Individual store locations average between 500,000 to 579,000. So 95, so, well, estimated 95, right? But why are they crashing out so hard over 200K of like Legos? Like, why 200K in general? This makes no sense to me. That's what makes it so weird.
Refusing to do. They have this huge inventory that they have not paid for. They have not fulfilled the obligations of the contract with the store. And
it could be.
He is not getting them
but
back.
200,000 though, all of it for
he's not
just
entitled
for
to it. It's so fucking disgusting,
like,
man.
Their tagline, because it's boring, and I changed it to "We steal from old people, And now the tagline's actually accurate. Also added a cute little company logo. And this is my plan of how I'm gonna make it into court with bricks and minifigs for free. Is where I'm gonna make my grand reveal. You see, this entire time, my company name was actually called We Steal From Old People. Yeah, the words bricks and minifigs, that's just the company tagline. In America, there's no specific law that says whether the tagline has to be above or beneath the company name, so I'm just allowed to do this.
So his plan basically became to goad Bricks and Minifig into opening a lawsuit against him under the belief that they've stolen their name. And his Uno reverse card was, didn't steal their name. That's the tagline. The name of the company is actually We Steal From Old People. So he did actually incorporate it. He does have a website for We Steal From Old People, where they're like selling merch and all of that. And
what the fuck?
I'm not a fucking lawyer. I don't know if that works. In my noodle up here, it feels like since he did take directly their logo, Bricks and Minifigs, it would still probably be a problem, even if it isn't the name of the company. It's still just being like the tagline and forward facing probably creates brand confusion that could get him on the hook for an issue. I don't really know, but the plan was instead of paying tons and tons and tons in legal fees to sue them, flip it so that way they are paying the legal fees to sue Ben. So that way they can get into court with them and hopefully reveal their shady, potentially illegal business practices. Now, the next sections in the video are highly entertaining to watch, but ultimately don't accomplish the goal of getting Bricks and Minifigs in court. They go back to the CEO, who is now aware of what they've been doing, which was like selling outside of their store, that kind of stuff, and the We Steal From Old People thing. And they are a registered business, and he now knows that, and he knows that they can just keep kicking the can down the road, passing the responsibility off to franchisees instead of corporate, and that law enforcement won't step in because it's a civil matter. So the CEO is aware of all that, and thus is avoiding doing anything litigious against them. And so they try like a raffle scheme to get like the cops on their side. Ultimately, it doesn't work. The cops are very much against them, trying to like get any kind of investigation into the actual Legos that they are still having without paying for them. The cops really do not like these guys because they keep getting calls about like trespassing them, harassment this, harassment that. So they are very much not looking to
with me.
really investigate their claims about like they have.
Can I be honest with you? I'm so tired of the like, oh, they're harassing me kind of excuse. I'm actually kind of sick and tired of it, to be honest.
These Legos, they haven't paid for it, which is illegal. Like that, to me, and I haven't brushed up on my civil versus criminal lawsuit, but I feel like that would start to teeter on being a criminal lawsuit if they are knowingly selling this product that they have not paid for, knowing that it is not even owned by them via the contract they have. Like, I feel like that would get close to a criminal case that would warrant some kind of like actual investigation, but they're not willing to even take those first steps because Bricks and Minifigs just keeps calling the cops out here about like trespass them, they're harassing, and they're hatching these like wacky schemes to try and get Bricks and Minifig to engage legally with them so that way they can open it up to more with how they've been doing their business. And it just ultimately wasn't working.
Damn.
Now what it does do, and again, I don't think I can show any of the footage here from it, but what it does do is it whittles down the owner, Josh, where it does seem like he starts to get really antsy and start to kind of panic a little bit. So he has another conversation with Ben, and he's like, look, this is what I need. I'll give the Legos back if I get a written apology from Brian. Dweeb, you're such a fucking twit, Josh. All of the negative comments taken off. Only positive reviews, that kind of thing. So he is like actually holding the Legos hostage for these deliverables here. Fucking loser, man.
Yeah, so basically before Brian can get his Star Wars Lego collection back, he has to write Bricks and Minifigs an apology letter for making this Facebook post. Bricks and Minifigs really doesn't like this Facebook post being up, because in this Facebook post, Brian calls Bricks and Minifigs out for stealing his Lego Star Wars collection.
I'm not apologizing for shit.
I agree, but it sucked. Well, here's like where we're at, right? If you could just write the letter, like we can get the Legos back.
I walked in there with the best of intentions. Here's proof of my collection in the store. I want it back, and they've done nothing but lie and make my life a living fucking hell over this. I've gone through 9 months of anxiety, stress, hospital-ridden, medication-taking types of burden.
Not downplaying what happened to you. It's just,
No, I am not apologizing to this fucking asshole.
It is just egregious
Holy
to demand that the
fuck,
guy
dude.
who only wants to either get the Legos back that his father has collected over the course of his life, or get paid for the Legos that you still have from his father's collection, is the one that is needing to apologize. I agree with Brian. Like, on
Fuck
pure
that, I would not
principle alone,
apologize either.
that's just totally fucking unacceptable. Like, to be the insufferable asshole who is knowingly engaging in this shadiness. I'll call it shadiness, but I think it's far harsher than that, but that's just allegedly. And then demanding that the guy who is representing his father, who is medication-ridden, who is not in the best of health, and only wanted to sell the collection to help with their living situation, is actually like the bad guy here, is just completely crazy. Plus, I don't trust them. I also would think, even if Brian did write that apology and
They
take
would probably
down the
find some
negative
way.
posts and like, oh, only positive posts going forward, fist bumps and all that, I still would be skeptical on if they would even follow through with giving the Legos back, or if they would just then use that as evidence when they do get to the next steps. Like, oh no, look, Brian apologized, so Brian was in the wrong. It was a big misunderstanding. See, Brian
That could
apologized.
happen.
Because then they would have that in writing and they'd be able to use that. It would likely be admissible in court should it get there. So I would also be wary of doing this for that reason too. I don't think even if he did start writing the apology and it's the most sincere thing ever, I still don't think they would actually give him his Legos back. It would just be used as a weapon against him. And this is something that Brian also made a mention of as it being a trap. And Ben actually had a really good idea here. So he once again contacted Josh, like, okay, Brian's going to make an apology video so that way we can move this along and get the Legos back. But what he did is he actually took a screenshot of Brian from an earlier conversation and had his friend do the audio and then just basically deep-faked Brian's apology video. But it was never Brian apologizing. It was his friend's statements coming out of Brian's mouth that was loosely lip-synced to it, and then sent it to Josh.
Hi, I'm Brian Mansell.
And after just a little bit of deep faking, it now looks like this.
Hi, I'm Brian Mansell, and I apologize sincerely for accusing you guys of stealing my Legos. I was wrong, and you were right.
This is the ultimate test. Was Josh being sincere, or was this all just one big trick?
Josh then took the apology
Dude,
and
what a twist this shit is, dude. I'm gonna be honest. This is definitely like a TV show. This should be a TV show.
he said, oh, this is so nice. This is so big of you. I can't wait to give your Legos back. You have my word, and that's not who I am. But
And
you
it
also
never
need to go
happened.
apologize to Amanda. So Ben goes to try and apologize to Amanda after getting permission from Josh, the owner, to go there, even though he's been trespassed. He shows up. Amanda instantly tries to call the police to have him arrested. So that didn't go over super well. That does seem like they were just trying to get him arrested there. But then he calls Josh. He's like, oh, dag nabbit, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe she'd do that. Anyway, let's work on getting those Legos back, shall we? Well, wouldn't you believe it?
my
Tons of
God,
time passes
dude.
by. They keep stalling, like, oh yeah, no quick update, but soon we'll have it. These are all conversations that he's had over
Yo,
the
fuck
phone
this
with these
store, bro.
fucking monsters over there. Again, this is Legos, by the way. And they just keep not giving the Legos over a week, 2 weeks, I already forgot, but it was a long time had passed, and then they eventually try making peace with Amanda again, which is the lady from the very beginning who just keeps getting the police on the horn to try and have them arrested, and that's still not working. And then it turns out, apparently, they don't have his Legos to give back anyway. He's saying the shelves are empty, there's no Legos to even give back, which is very contradictory to what Josh said not too long ago about like, oh yeah, we'll definitely give it back after this apology, it's coming. And they'd stalled for so long about, oh yeah, the Legos are coming, just, big hiccup here, unforeseen circumstances there, that kind of thing. But now they're saying, oh no, we just don't have it to give back. So these are just actual fucking degenerate scammers, allegedly, is what it looks like. These are just fucking awful people here at Bricks and Minifigs.
So basically, these are my two options. I can do what Josh wants me to do and shut up, which I can say right now, I'm definitely not doing that. So what's the alternative? I can, I guess, raise hundreds of thousands of dollars somehow, and then maybe spend 3 to 4 years in court fighting them, and somehow, if I win, then we can finally get the family their Legos back. Yeah, both of these options suck. Or maybe I can somehow find a way to engineer a third option, which I call option number 3. Small claims court. Think about it. Small claims court is basically just like big boy court, except it costs basically nothing, and you get a judgment pretty much instantly.
After another hostile conversation
Really?
with
Are you
Josh, where
serious?
Josh is melting down again after still not giving the Legos back after he promised he would do, you know, and again, Josh is a man of his word, according to the phone calls here. It now has boiled down to only one option left, which is small claims court, because the big court is way too expensive. Now, what happened next, I couldn't actually believe. I was stunned. I can't recommend watching this video enough. They went through all the proper motions and channels from what I can see. Again, I'm not an expert, but it looks like they did squeak out the W with the small claims. Like, they didn't actually show up or do anything like they were supposed to. Bricks and Minifig, that is. So, Ben and the gang, they did win that, and when they went to collect, they actually shut down the store permanently.
What?
That was their response to it. They just closed operations of that location. Holy shit.
Oh my...
Since they didn't respond, you can move forward with a motion for default judgment.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yes, since Bricks and Minifigs didn't respond, looks like we win by default. Congratulations, you won the court case.
Wait, what?
I couldn't believe it. Literally one day after we filed motion for default judgment, they permanently...
Oh my god, dude, that's crazy. Brother, they came in at night or so, took all this shit and moved out, dude.
Closed down the store. At first, it did feel kind of cool that our plan worked so well, it completely shut them down. But pretty quickly it sunk in that we are not the winners here.
Yeah.
The only winners today is Bricks and Minifigs. Now, there's absolutely no way to hold this store liable for what they did. I guess Bricks and Minifigs was kind of embarrassed by this decision and forgot to mark online that their store is closed. So over the next few days, a bunch of negative reviews started coming in of people expecting an open store, but then being met with this.
Fucking cinema.
That's
like, yes, it is not a good ending because now they still haven't paid Brian for the collection, and they still got to get away with all of it. They just closed this one store, but they're still a big corporation, so like Ben said, they are still kind of the winners here, even though they lost the small claims court here. They just shut this down and move on, but it did end with a flood of negative reviews for Bricks and Minifigs because, well, they didn't even really inform their customers about this closure because it was so instantaneous after the small claims default judgment, I guess. Pretty fucking wacky. What a diabolical company. Again, this is all over Legos, by the way. And the cops at no point were ever on, like, the side of Ben, and yet still, they were able to squeeze out something, I think, pretty impressive here. The cops were always on Bricks and Minifig's side.
That's weird.
Even at times seemingly going out of their way to be on their side, which is extremely annoying. Like, I don't think they were getting, you know, money under the table for their cooperation or anything like that.
I feel like they
It
did.
is just one of those things where I guess they just believe that the business can do no wrong and that this must
Nah, I don't believe that. I think definitely there's something fishy happening.
just be some wacky psycho doing shit to be disruptive. But really, Bricks and Minifigs are the bad guys here from all available evidence.
And the only way to let the world know is for me to give them an official closing ceremony. I guess someone driving by happened to take a picture of the sign we put up and posted it on social media. And pretty much immediately, we started going absolutely viral. The entire world has now seen this crime that Bricks and Minifigs has committed. And because of this, they finally marked on Google that their store is permanently closed.
I've been reading about this Bricks and Minifigs in Salem, Oregon, that's got this sign out in front of it.
It's been over a week.
Oh
the sign is still up, and people have been traveling from all over just to come and take a picture with this sign.
If you drive through Kaiser, you may have noticed a mysterious sign appear recently outside the closed Mini Bricks and Fig store.
Banger. That's so good. So the sign popped off here because it's the only way to, like, let people know why that store's closed, what all has happened there, what's gone on, why is it no
fuck?
longer operational? And then it just started to naturally, organically catch wind online in like the Lego community, and then exploded beyond the Lego community. And apparently all of this is still just the first part of this saga here,
It's the
this
first
Lego
part?
adventure. Part 2's up on his Patreon, and he gave like a sizzler reel where apparently he is in handcuffs, him and his whole group are. I don't know how it pops off
Wait,
to that degree, because it looks like they're at their own home with it. It's seemingly pretty fucking wild in part 2, but yeah, even just part 1 had me stunned. The depth of depravity for Legos from this company seemingly is unbelievable. I had to yap about this. It was an incredible video. Again, I highly recommend you go watch the entire thing from
United
Reckless
States
Ben.
and Canada.
I just couldn't help but blabber
I thought it was
about
just
it.
a Canadian
Fucking home
thing.
run of a video here. And a big fuck you to Bricks and Minifigs. Anyway, that's really about
True.
it. So, yeah.
Okay, we're not done. We're not done yet. We're not done yet, okay? We're not done yet. There's actually is a part 2 to this. I am super curious. So the Lego Scandal Company response, so they just responded to the whole thing. So I don't know if this is part 2, but I want to see what this is all about though.
I have to do a follow-up to the video earlier today covering the Lego scandal. If you haven't watched that video, nothing I'm going to talk about makes sense here. It's going to be all mumbo-jumbo. It's going to sound like that episode of Rugrats where Spike was hearing Tommy Pickles' parents talk, and it was just all... So, if you don't know anything about the Lego scandal, you can either watch the video from earlier today, watch Reckless Ben's video, which is where it all stems from, a thorough investigation through a unbelievably deep rabbit hole of corruption, depravity, and just absurdity all around Legos. In a nutshell, I guess I'll give you like the synopsis. A man named Brian took his father's Lego collection to a corporation called Bricks and Minifigs, which is a huge business in the Lego community, and he was selling the collection to them. The way that that's structured is they take the collection, they sell it, and he gets money for it. They had a contract in place with this location. It's an extremely valuable Lego collection, roughly around 200,000 clams worth, and Brian's father is not in the best of health, so this money was actually going to be used for very important things.
I kind of figured as much.
And to fast forward, basically, he never received any kind of payment for it, but they did take all of the Legos. They had his whole inventory and were actively promoting it, marketing it, and seemingly selling it without ever having followed through on the terms of that agreement that they had with Brian. And in the contract, it is explicitly stated that he still owns the Legos. He never relinquished ownership of the Legos or anything. So he was still entitled to those products that he brought them should he request them back, presumably. And he did. He asked for them back. They kept refusing. He eventually got trespassed, apparently. Then Reckless Ben got on the case to try and get the Legos back. They refused. And it was a tooth and nail battle the whole way. And as far as we know, the public right now, it is still unresolved. They still have his Legos being fucking held hostage like it's some kind of ISIS terrorist negotiation. And he is not getting them back and has still not received payment for anything that they had sold from his collection, presumably. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. We've only got one fingernail on the titty and haven't even begun to suckle the milk out from the bosom. It is so deep and so ridiculous. I highly recommend you check out Reckless Ben's video covering it. But I want to give you a follow-up here because they did respond to his video. I only just now learned this. And Reckless Ben made a video covering their response, and there's a couple things that I want to talk about because I think it's an absolute load of fucking horseradish that they're trying to pull here with what they're claiming in a couple of instances.
When a complex business dispute is reduced to edited social media clips, critical facts are often lost. While we will not litigate this online, which they are currently doing, we want to clarify the core situation.
Okay, so I see what they're saying. So right now they're saying this is all a big misunderstanding. Ben has edited these clips to make us look bad, but we're not really bad. Now, for the rest of this article, we're going to share our side that Ben left out, is what I'm assuming they're saying here, right?
That is exactly what they're saying, and this sounds like the quintessential PR speak, boilerplate, template shit, nothing sincere, nothing genuine, just a desperate attempt from a PR firm to try and save face for their client here, Bricks and Minifigs. And there is just the standard jargon here. They are doing this because right now they are in hot water. They've got their nuts dipped in the candle wax right now and it's starting to burn. Everyone is shooting spitballs at them. Everyone's on the top turnbuckle throwing
I never thought a
tomatoes,
CEO would get so
screeching
butthurt
boo
or something
for
like
good
this
reason,
for their feelings.
because they look like huge assholes here, and from all available evidence, they are in the wrong. And they are refusing, outright refusing. There are tons and tons of recorded phone calls and interactions with the top brass of Bricks and Minifig, just outright denying, lying, and refusing to give him his Legos back.
This is ridiculous.
Even though from all available evidence with
this is
all of the
actually
footage
ridiculous.
as well as the contract, it seems like Brian is legally within his right to ask for it back, and they should have to oblige. They did not pay him for that collection that they have in their inventory, that they have been marketing and pushing and presumably selling, and they never gave him any piece of the pie.
But my question, okay, so my question is like, they have a signed contract and everything like that. Shouldn't they automatically win because it's an actual signed contract? What's the loophole here that they can't seem to like get a definite win in a court case? Like what's the thing that like holds them back? Is it just because of the money wise? But they have an actual physical evidence contract of it saying that, you know, hey, this is just how it is. And if other people sold their, you know, their Legos to them, I assume they also had to sign a contract as well, right? Question mark.
In that contract, it is explicitly stated it is still his collection. It is still his Legos. So I don't know what authority they think they have for that. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so maybe it is more nuanced, though I don't really see how it could be. It, to me, feels like a pretty slam dunk case of a corporation butt fucking the little guy just because they have more money, which is something they made very clear. If you do try and sue us, we are going to drag this out, and you are going to lose more money in these legal fees over the course of years than you would have ever gotten from us for this collection.
But they have the physical evidence,
They have said that to him. There is even a recorded phone call about that very thing, fundamentally. Like, it is, they are not being shy about being assholes. So this right here just reads as just standard PR speak of, oh, this isn't what we're about. We would never exploit anyone, especially not geezers, especially not octogenarians. No, we love the elderly fossils, guys. We would never exploit them.
Right.
I don't know.
200,000.
It just, to me, smells stinky. It just feels really fake and forced. And they don't even really give a good defense. So this is supposed to be their side of things, but they don't actually explain it well. And what they do try and use as like their ace in the hole, I think falls very flat.
Let's see their side. So it says the reality of the consignment claim. Much of the online narrative centers around a private consignment arrangement allegedly made by a former Salem store. It is vital to understand that Bricks and Minifigs Corporate was not a party to this alleged agreement, nor were subsequent franchises who took the ownership of the Salem location after the former owners were removed. So Bricks and Minifigs does have a point here. The previous owner, according to Bricks and Minifigs franchise agreement, they're not supposed to do consignments. They're supposed to buy the Legos and then sell them. So I think the old owner broke the rules.
And that's a very fair point. So a big portion of this revolves around that consignment. So the old owner maybe went against protocol here when she took on board the Lego inventory, and then what happened is she and her husband, they were getting out of the area, and then a new owner was coming in. They basically kicked him to the curb instantly. And there's even video camera footage of her saying, well, what about this inventory? I'm uncomfortable leaving with this inventory that I haven't finished here. And they said, it is on camera. It is on security camera footage. Mm-hmm. You can hear the guy say that they take on the business, like the business endeavors that are already in place, and even explicitly mentions consignment. He says that they are taking on the consignment. But let's just go ahead and assume that he's not representative of the whole company and can't make that call on his own. He can't go up there and just fucking hit a dinger himself and say, you know what, we will take the consignment. If they don't do consignment, then what legal leg do they have to stand on to continue to hoard this inventory from Brian's father? They are actively marketing it, so I imagine they have been actively selling it for quite some time, but they never paid for it. And if they don't do consignment, then the contract that was in place should have never existed in the first place. Thus, they shouldn't have that inventory. So, when Brian is requesting that he gets his Legos back from this business, How can they possibly say, no, it's ours to do what we want with now? Eat shit, pussy. How is that allowed? If they don't do consignment and what that guy said is baloney and they can't take on the inventory or do consignment because it's just not part of their company policy, then how do they possibly have the authority to say no to giving him his Legos back? Legos that they shouldn't even have in the first place then. If they don't do consignment, they shouldn't have this inventory. Thus, they should have no problem giving Brian all the Legos back, right? Because otherwise, it seems like they're stealing it. Otherwise, it sounds like the protocol was broken when she took this, but now that she's not here anymore, well, that kind of fizzles, and it's ours forever now. Sorry. That sounds a lot like stealing to me. That just feels highly illegal. Like if I march into a Circle K, assume direct control, kick the franchisee out, and it turns out all the products on my floor actually come from my neighbor, and he had a consignment deal where like the Circle K here sells them and he gets a kickback for it because it's his products, and I take over and I say, not doing that, no consignment here, not part of my policy, but then I continue to sell his products without paying him for it. Am I not just stealing it?
Corporate did not assign, approve, or authorize this arrangement, which is further proof of why they should not have the Legos in the store. If this is something that the brand doesn't do, if Bricks and Minifigs doesn't do consignment deals, then they should just give the Legos back, right? There's no reason for these Legos to be in their store. They didn't pay for them. They're not doing a business deal with Brian anymore. So just give them back. Easy solution. Franchisees operate independent businesses. While they must follow system standards, the franchisor does not automatically inherit responsibility for private, unauthorized agreements a local owner may enter into. This is basically corporate saying, hey, we can't control our franchises,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And then, but the problem is when you go to the franchises, they say, well, corporate told us to do this.
Which is the runaround he was getting in
That's
the
such
initial
a
coverage
stupid-
of the
that-
situation
that's so-
where it
that
was,
does not
corporate
work.
said this, and then corporate's like, no, it's up to them. And then, no, it's a corporate. So you just back and forth, just fucking
That doesn't
wild
work.
goose chase. But here's the thing. Again, consignment may be fully against their policy, but that deal did happen. There was a contract in place. So if you're taking it over and you are not taking over the consignment, and you're not taking over everything that the business had already had contracts for, then you, I don't believe, can legally still have that inventory, right? So how can you possibly say no when the owner of it is requesting it back? And how can you then make threats against them for it and vilify them for it? It is their product, and you are outright saying you don't do these deals, thus it's not your product. You didn't obtain it through the proper channels, and you know that. It is violative, and you are knowingly still keeping it and presumably selling it to your customers. They are openly advertising it all over the place on their socials, but it's, even by their own defense of themselves, it's product that they shouldn't even have in the first place, and they didn't pay for it or anything. So, is that not just stolen product, point blank? I feel like it is. At least in my Neanderthal noodle here. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I just don't see a world where you can come into a business, take it over, and then say like, all right, everything that happened before we got here no longer counts. But we are going to capitalize off some of those deals, so this product that was a big no-no in how we obtained it, we are still going to actively sell it and market it. And if he
What
comes
the fuck?
requesting it back, we are going to trespass him, threaten him, and fight tooth and nail to ensure he never gets those Legos back.
Serious
but only for-
claims require serious evidence. I do agree. We both
Yes,
agree with
yes,
that.
yes.
We have repeatedly asked for the original documents and undoctored recordings that support these accusations. So yeah, isn't that funny? Did we try to get the evidence over to you guys?
Yeah, did I remember that time when I had all the evidence in my hand and I walked into the store and I just said, hey, here's all the evidence. I'm not judging you. Let's figure this out. And what did they do?
Can we have like a clip like playing right now?
Yeah, let's roll the clip.
I'm going to play it safe here again in this video, not show any of those clips because they were recorded through like the glasses and stuff. But if you want to see it, I highly recommend going
How come
directly
he doesn't want to show the video, the clips for it though? I don't understand why he doesn't want to show it.
to Ben's channel to support him for this super thorough investigation. But they do have irrefutable proof that they did just take the full brass tacks evidence. No nonsense, no horse hockey, just the actual cold hard facts. They did take it to them. They did nothing with it. Also, I don't know what they mean by undoctored
Which
recordings.
Jesus?
Like
Which
it is
Jesus?
just the
I don't know who
recordings
that
that
is.
they put in the video. Like it's I don't really see where they could have like fudged anything. And again, they did actively try to just present all of the evidence to get it solved, because the mission was to just get him his Legos back or what he's entitled to. And they didn't want to play ball with it. Instead, at every opportunity, they tried to have them arrested, trespassing them, claiming harassment. And they did actively work to try and get the law enforcement to throw them in the handcuffs and take them to the slammer. They tried all of the proper avenues of just presenting the evidence and delivering the evidence to corporate and to the people in charge, but they refused it. They denied it. They lied. So what else are they going to do? Well, this. Making a public spectacle out of it, putting it on everyone's radar, because this is a public service that they're doing here.
Yeah.
Bricks and Minifigs seems to be an extremely shady corporation that no person should be dealing with. They seem to be doing some very under the table type shit that's very fucking odd, that it
this ruins
potentially
their reputation
was
even
them
far
stealing
worse.
multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Legos from at least Brian, but who knows, maybe others as well that just weren't able to get enough eyes on it like Brian and Ben were able to in this case. Who's to say? So them talking about it and presenting all of this is important to consumers out there who might have considered doing business with this company. And now, thanks to this investigation, they know, let's pump the brakes. Maybe we should steer clear of Bricks and Minifigs.
We were the ones that refused to give them the evidence.
It makes no sense. They literally go, we have repeatedly asked. Okay, that's bullshit. Selective social media posts and investigative style videos are not a substitute for the complete records and legal agreements that govern the rights of all involved parties.
Okay, let's put all the evidence right here. We got the consignment deal. We got the full inventory list that the Bricks and Minifig store made that shows which sets were sold, which sets are still in the store, and which sets Brian has not been paid for. This was an inventory list made by the store. Here's the security camera footage of corporate knowing there was a consignment deal. Here's all the metadata timestamped pictures of the sets that were still in the store when the owner got kicked out. I've printed all of this proof out and tried to give it to them.
They did have the whole kit and caboodle here. This should have been something that never got to this point, never escalated to this point at all.
What is up with the CEO,
And again,
to
in
be
that
honest?
footage, the security cam footage, he himself calls out that, yeah, they're taking on the consignments when they take over. But again, maybe he doesn't have the authority to do so, but still, they shouldn't have this inventory then, and they should have no problem giving it back. And them in their statement saying, we've repeatedly requested you give us just the real stuff, not just some fucking bogus YouTube video. Ugh, the actual, fucking evidence here. And they have proven that they repeatedly did try to. The corporation here was never receptive to it. They never took it. They never wanted to deal with it. Instead, they were more interested in just trying to have them arrested and silenced and bullied using litigious threats.
I want to see, I know this is not part 2 of this, but I do want to see part 2 of this entire ordeal. Like where does it go? Like, they have to get their shit back, because at the end, they have solid proof. They have the papers. It makes no sense. What the fuck? I'm like, if you have the actual evidential proof, I'm like, it's a shut case at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. I'm like, the business lost. I just don't understand. Like, I just clearly don't. Like, I thought the law is supposed to be fair and everything, no matter what. And if you have the actual hard evidential proof to tell them, hey, they're the jackasses that stole the fucking Legos from this dude from his dad, who has collected throughout all of his years. I'm like, here it is. And then you take a look at it, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, it looks pretty hard proof to me. All right, well, hey, it's over. They won. You give them back their shit. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, why are even the cops even helping the business person? What is this? Is this like some Reddit mod shit? Leave the fucking $10,000 billion company alone? Like, what are we doing here? The cops are supposed to be the ones that are supposed to be the neutral party. What the hell is even this?
So this is just a complete fucking
It's
lie
not
here
super
in their
accurate.
statement
Sometimes
about
it
we
doesn't
asked
understand
for it, but
certain
you just
words.
wanted to make a YouTube video. That's just not true. They did try.
If a legitimate claim exists, there are established legal and dispute resolution processes to handle it fairly. Attempting to force a business outcome through public pressure, especially on unrelated stores and employees, is not a productive or fair path forward.
Basically what they're saying is, let's figure this out the legal way. Well, we did what he said, actually. We did sue him, and we won. And then they didn't like the legal way. Bricks and Minifigs was the one who didn't want to do it the legal way. Do you know why?
Because when they won, and they did win in small claims court,
They
they
closed
did
the
win.
store.
They took it the legal way. Also, from the very beginning, they were trying to provide the evidence to just get this solved. It was Bricks and Minifigs that didn't want to play ball. So they did eventually take it the legal way.
Like,
they went to small claims court.
no?
They didn't go to like the extremely expensive one like Bricks and Minifigs wanted them to, because what Bricks and Minifigs wanted to do was bleed them dry through a long drawn out process to just drain them of resources. So instead they went to small claims court, and Reckless Ben, he did win against them. And how did Bricks and Minifigs respond? They shut down that location. So they didn't even pay him what they owed from the small claims court. They instead just shut down operations on that location, thus leaving him high and dry, as well as Brian and the Legos. So yeah, I don't know, Bricks and Minifigs. It sounds like it really wasn't the legal way that you were wanting, was it? So that wasn't much of an option. Public pressure was the only productive way to get any kind of attempt to try and help Brian here get his Legos back. But still, that hasn't happened, so instead what's happening is people are being alerted to the very awful business practices of this company. Like, again, the lack of professionalism as well from the people in charge is fucking alarming. The way that Josh, one of the owners there of that location, just keep calling this guy stupid, cussing at him, swearing at him, fuck you, man, that kind of stuff. Everyone's seeing it now. So Bricks and Minifigs looks like a terrible fucking business, and they have still not given Brian's Legos back, even though they did go through the legal way.
Doing whatever they can to silence criticism, and if you don't believe me, watch part 2.
Moving forward together, our position remains simple. Bricks and Minifigs Corporate was not a party to the unauthorized Salem consignment agreement.
Wait. But they were a party in the theft of the Legos.
Any legitimate claims should be resolved through the proper legal channels where facts can be evaluated fairly.
Bullshit.
And we already did that.
Yep. Facts.
Bricks and Minifigs keeps trying to alt by saying the facts, that kind of thing, but
BS.
the facts betray them. Even their own defense isn't watertight because they keep bringing up that they don't take on the consignment, which, again, it's on video of the guy saying, yeah, we take it on, but if that's just, if that's horseradish, fine, you don't take on consignment, but then you knowingly have inventory that was taken through this consignment and you are not giving it back even though the owner of it is requesting it. Thus, you are taking this inventory that you don't have a right to and selling it and not paying for it. That sounds like it's stolen. That's an immutable fact. That is not like a doctored piece of video or anything like that. That is a provable fact that there was a consignment and he gave the inventory to the store. They had it. They were actively marketing it, so they definitely had the product. They were selling the product, it seems, based on all evidence. And now, according to Bricks and Minifig, they don't do consignment. Thus, why the fuck aren't they giving him his Legos back? What sense does that make? These are the facts.
We ask our fans and creators to consider the human impact of the content they share. Fairness is a two-way street. It requires looking at the full picture and respecting the rights of unrelated small business owners and their staff. I mean, shouldn't they care about people below them?
This doesn't say how they're moving forward. Moving forward should be, let's give Brian his Legos back, right?
That should have been the first sentence. That's absolutely right. Instead, this is more just like a sad song. Guys, come on, we ordered some french fries. Why is no one shedding any tears for us? Think about the human impact. There's humans here. And by the way, in the video we heard from some of those humans, they're really rancid. They're really rude, mean people that Ben was interacting with. Off rip too, by the way. Like, it's not like they were goaded into it. When Ben was just asking very simple questions at the beginning, they were instantly...
I'm like super confused as it's like, okay, so like they signed it, right? But then they kicked the previous owner out. And they brought in like new owners in, but then they have the video proof as well of them saying that we're gonna take over this business. Or it's over 200,000. It's over fucking plastic fucking bricks, bro. Oh my god! I thought the Pokemon fucking scalping and the shit that's happening in Pokemon was bad, but fucking hey, dude. I didn't think Legos would get even worse, to be honest. Funny enough about it, I still have some like old Legos, like Star Wars stuff or so, that me and my brother and my sister bought like a long time ago. We still have them. Like we still got them in the box over there, somewhere over there. But my god, dude, I have just never like I said, I've never been like, I've never bothered collecting like evidence or anything. It's all AI YouTube evidence. We don't have your Legos. Our dog ate them. No, they have them. They have the fucking Legos. Like, it's fucking weird, dude. It's so fucking weird. It's like they have physical proof. They got photo proof. They have the inventory stock proof. They have video proof. It's like, what else do you need? What other proof do you actually need for this to be like, hey, you know, you should probably get back the Legos. It's over 200. It's only for 200,000. I'm like, why are you crying over 200,000? I'm like, you're getting like a certain percentage when you're selling it. So like, what the fuck, you know?
Snapping and saying that they're harassing, that he's harassing them.
Like, I assume you're getting a.
I don't know.
They
Not
aren't getting a
really
percentage.
great people there at the top of the food chain at Bricks and Minifigs that I've seen, and
That's
also
what makes no
considering the human
sense.
impact. What about Brian's father? You have his fucking Legos. His life's work. He built that up over the course of so many years of his life, growing it into what it became, worth multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. His pride and joy, and it was money that the family could have really utilized in his time of bad health. So what about the human impact there, Bricks and Minifigs? What the fuck? Like, you are the last place that should be trying to appeal to, like, humanity, please. When you have his Legos and are still refusing to give them back or pay for what you've sold from his collection. It's ridiculous. And in their response, they don't explain why they're keeping the Legos. They don't address that at all. So you don't do consignment. Why are you keeping the Legos? Why are you selling those Legos? And why are you not giving them back to the owner? If you don't do consignment, you shouldn't have them. Explain your side. You didn't. Instead, they just keep relying on like this nothingness. Like they're not even defending themselves is the thing. Because what they're doing is indefensible. So their response was fucking terrible. Anyway, I just had to do a follow-up once I saw that.
The problem is what the company said is like, you can take us to court, but we're gonna bleed you out of money. That's literally is what they said, because they can just keep making the case like fucking super long until the point that it cost over the amount of the Legos, like the whole Lego set in general. That's literally is what they said. They said, you can take us to court if you want to, but we're just gonna fucking bleed you dry. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Over fucking plastic fucking Legos, bro. Plastic fucking container Legos, bro. You can't be serious with. You have to be so low of a scum or so for you to be doing this. And it was all for his dad too, as well. It's just, I'm just kind of like, you can't be serious with me.
They responded. Anyway, that's really about it. So yeah.
Dude, I want to see that part 2.
With the song
No. Shh. Quiet hero. Hey, hold on. Not right now, but like.
I have to do a follow-up to the video
like,
earlier today.
It's crazy
covering...
though. Like they should have. That's crazy. I don't understand. Man, fuck this, dude. Thank God, dude. Like honestly, like yeah, like I still have my Lego, like my Legos and whatnot, because we did like Lego Star Wars and whatnot, but nothing like super crazy, like crazy collection or anything like that. It's just kind of like mostly the small ones whenever we had money or so. We do have a pretty well, I was gonna say we do have a pretty crazy Bionicle collection, but I wouldn't say crazy. It's like a pretty moderate, you know. We had some Bionicles, so. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is kind of wild. I can't wait to see the part 2. I'm hoping that part 2 comes out though. I'm pretty excited on this one. Is punitive damages to consider? Jury can be really pissed off and just hammer them with a crazy punitive damage. Yeah, but like I don't know, man. I'm just like, because they technically because they did win. They actually did win a actual court case because it was won by default. But the funny thing about it is that they just closed up that specific location of the store instead of like actually giving back the Legos. Like literally, this makes no sense. This literally makes no sense to me. Why is this guy going so hard, the business owner literally going so hard to not just give back the fucking Legos? Yeah, we stole 6 figures of you, but you were mean. That was dude. It's 200,000 though. Putting your entire company on jeopardy for 200K is insane. That's what I'm saying. This is what makes no sense. It's just for 200,000. for like a, what is it, a multi-million-dollar business or something? you're literally crashing out over 200K. It's like literally $2, bro. It's like literally straight up $2 for a, you know, for the rich man business standpoint, you know? I'm like, it's not that crazy, but anyways, whatever. Anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. I don't get it. What is even happening to the hobbies that I used to mess with all the time? Fucking, you know, I didn't really mess with Pokemon. I collected some Pokemon cards, but like I never really like got into it at, like, cuz I was more of a Yu-Gi-Oh. I was more of a Yu-Gi-Oh girl than that. I'm telling you, if the family goes to court again, that business owner will get his ass handed to him by the judge and jury. You think so? I'm like, the story has blown up pretty massively. So it could probably be in their favor. And even then, they have a lot of hard evidence proof, and they have video evidence proof of saying that they are taking over the actual like agreement deal of the cosign of that thing. This is one of the oh please let me have this case for lawyers. Who knows, to be frankly honest. Like it could, but I'd be curious to see what happens in the part 2. I'm hoping that the guy does get his Legos back, because like he should get his Legos back, to be honest. If they're not really selling the Lego, or not really selling, but as in like giving him the money in general, it's like, what's the point of them keeping it, you know? Makes no sense. But oh well. Whatever. Anyways, I can't wait for the part 2. I'm super excited for the part 2. So but yeah. God, Lord Jesus Christ. Anyways, that's the end of the video. And peace.